I rise through the noise, hear the hunger in my voice. Built from the fire, every scar was a choice. I was raised in the rain, learned to move through the pain. Now my mind stays sharp, I'm forever in my lane. Mind out, locked in, no doubt in my frame. I came too far to fold, I was born in the flame. It's the sound of a fighter when the pressure get loud. I don't wait on the moment, I create my own crowd. Distractions all around, but I'm focused, locked tight. Mental soldier on a mission, I'm prepared for the fight. They try to pull me left, try to drag me off my path, but I'm centered in my purpose, turning pressure into math. I add up every loss, every lesson, every scar. Now I shine through the storm like the fire from afar. Who I was ain't who I am, and who I am won't stay. I'm evolving with the hunger, getting stronger every day. Every setback turned destruction, every wound became a tool. I was taught by the hard times, now I'm moving like a jewel. I got vision in my spirit, discipline in my chest. I don't chase applause, I chase the life I deserve best. I've been training my mind where the weak ones quit, turning pain to a platform. Every setback fit, I'm the proof in the pressure, I'm the lesson, I'm the sign. When I speak I move mountains, got my future in line. Every thought got power, every word got weight. I'm rewriting my fate, there ain't room for debate. I came from the bottom, now I'm aiming for the crown. With my feet in the fire, still I never back down. My game on top, yeah, I'm built to withstand. Every move that I make got a plan in my hand. I was forged in the struggle, made to rise through the pain. Now I stand in my power and I'm owning my name. No fear, no limits, I'm a force in motion, focused on a mission with a warrior's devotion. Yeah, I'm locked in, no cap, no delay. Every thought on success, every breath on the way. I don't bend for the crowd, I was made to ascend. Mind out so far, just to come and no end. I'm up, I'm alive, I'm a star in the making. Built for the pressure, watch me stand through the shaking. Top of my thoughts, I don't chase, I lead. I plant greatness in my mind, then I watch it breathe. Pressure try to break me, but it's sharpen my blade. Every setback turned to fuel, every wound made me brave. I don't need permission, I was born to lead. Planting seeds in the struggle, now I'm reaping what I need. Vision in my left eye, faith in my right. I've been training in the shadows, now I'm ready for the light. They can talk about the finish, I'm too busy in the race. Put a legacy with every breath, every step, every pace. Discipline in my habits, determination in my tone. I'm a fortress in the mind, never standing here alone. The battle is internal, but I mastered the war. Now I'm breaking every boundary they ever set before. I don't fold under pressure, I expand in it. Every inch of this journey got my stamp in it. I'm the calm in the chaos, I'm the will in the flame. When I step in my purpose, even doubt knows my name. I don't need a shortcut, I trust my grind. Every break, every scar, every lesson aligned. I've been walking with focus, I've been moving with grace. Now I'm face to face with the life I embrace. I'm too locked in to lose, too hungry to stall. When my back hit the wall, I just rise above it all. Built on resilience, my spirit stay tall. I'm on top of my mindset, I refuse to fall. My game on top, yeah, I'm built to withstand. Every move that I make, they got a plan in my head. I was forged in the struggle, made to rise through the pain. Now I stand in my power and I'm owning my name. No fear, no limits, I'm a force in motion.
Live life, live long. Longevity set strong. No rush, no noise. Just a plan for the days ahead.
I see all the influences with every swipe telling me how I need to live my life. Each one trying to convince me that I am missing out, creating in my mind a lot of self-doubt. So I go harder, or do I even have what it takes? Thinking back about all my life mistakes. I have to push, I have to grind. Rush, so I don't get left behind. My body is fatigued, my mind is crowded. Spiritual aspects, not sure if I'm even about that. The messages all mixed up inside my chest. I am not even sure how to give my best, let alone have time to rest.
Stop, wait, pause. This is bigger than right now. It ain't about tearing it up or burning down the town. It's about living present and living long, with a mission plan that'll keep me strong. Mind, body, soul, all in line. I'm building my future one day at a time. This is all about me. And do I have what it takes to win? We gon' say. The truth is that I will find out each day. Taking time out to do this my way. Focus on the long game, but play it for the quarter. Understanding life is a series of shots and actions placed in a specific order. Cut myself some slack when it is needed. Take time to rest when my body is broken and bleeding. It is my game, my walk, my place in the Hall of Fame. So I won't chase the noise or play the crowd's game. Stop, wait, pause. This is bigger than right now. It ain't about tearing it up or burning down the town. It's about living present and living long with a mission plan that'll keep me strong. Mind, body, soul, all in line. I'm building my future one day at a time. 3, 2, 1. Initiate grit briefing.
Grit briefing is initiating. We are bringing the teams online.
This is the build, the prep, the grind before the fight. Personal growth in the dark so I can lead in the light. I train my mind, I harden my will. I sharpen every skill because the mission of life rewards the ones who've got the steel. I suit up before the order, I move before the sound. I learn the lesson in the pressure, I stay ready, feet on the ground. When the call comes in, I don't hesitate, I activate on go. Prepare for what's ahead with the discipline to know. Train now, grow now, lock it now. Go time, ready to move. This life operation order to be given now. Stay ready, stay prepared. Three, two, one. Initiate grit briefing.
And Grit Briefing is initiated. Welcome to this episode, this fourth episode of the Grit Briefing. If you have been around Grit Nation at all for any amount of time, you may remember us doing something that used to be every morning called Coffee with Coach. And this year we've upgraded. We have upgraded to creating what is called the Grit Briefing. We hold it one time a week, and it is an opportunity for you to be able to just get some information that helps you build your body, motivate your mind, search your soul, and initiate a life plan. And we are currently streaming. We have got TikTok going on. I have Facebook group going on, YouTube. If you are watching this on TikTok, for those who are on TikTok, hey, sorry, you are not going to be able to see the slides. But if you want to see the slides, you can go check us out over on YouTube. Afterwards, you can go over to the Facebook group. You can watch the replay over there. You can even download the slides, because once we are done with the Grit Briefing, I then go and upload the slides for whatever the Grit Briefing is about. But first and foremost, I want to say thank you for being a part of this morning's Grit Briefing. We're going to be talking about longevity. I have been using this terminology for a while in Grit Nation. With my clients, I am a mindset coach, personal master, certified master trainer. That was a mouthful to say. I'm a personal trainer. I do tactical fitness training. I bodybuilding, nutrition. I train people all over the United States, as well as here where I reside. If you reside in my local area, I can train you one-on-one, face-to-face. If you do not reside in my local area, but you're looking for a trainer, I can still work with you via remote access, doing some things that I do remotely, virtually. So, but today, the lesson plan for today, the Grit Briefing today, like I said, is all about longevity. It is building that longevity plan. When working with clients, whether it be in mindset, whether it be in fitness, I often say all the time, we make life difficult. We make life a lot more difficult than what it needs to be. Really, life's simple. It is when you place us and our decisions in life that we begin to convolute the mission that we are given every single day. And so today, what I want to do, I talk about all the time about this longevity plan. So, like, let's just stop for a second and think about if I were to say, if you were one to say, hey, coach, I want to bring you on as my trainer. We begin to talk, and a lot of times when I sit down with someone, whether it be virtually through a camera and I am doing a consultation with them, or it's one-on-one, face-to-face, I'm doing a consultation, I ask them what their goals are. And I could see their mind moving. And also every time they're waiting for me to put them into the gym and start throwing iron and all this, I say, wait a minute, hold on. Fitness doesn't have to be difficult. Fitness literally is simple. It is our body moving weight, whether it's body weight, whether it's real weight, added weight, whatever it may be. We have a tendency to convolute and complicate the things that we do in our life. And it's the same way when we run our life is we get all these plans, all these dreams, all these goals, and we start, maybe you're that high motivated person who is constantly writing stuff down and you're making these charts and these plans. And in truth, it is just fitness, mental well-being, spiritual well-being is literally creating a longevity plan that allows you to be able to live the life you are going to live. It's not adding years. We can't add years to our life. We can take away years, but we can't add years, right? We're all going to, this is a death game, y'all. I hate to, be a downer already right in the beginning of the episode, but we're all going to die. We're all going to not get out of this alive. How do you create a longevity plan? A plan that allows you to get the most out of the life that you will live. One of the most inspirational heroes of my life that really started formulating that idea of a longevity plan is my father. My dad is 75 years old, and I've shared this story numerous times, whether it be on Grit, whether it be in person, that my father, when he was 70 years old, did a Spartan trifecta. If you don't know what the Spartan races are, hey, go check it out. I'm not going to explain what they are, but at 70 years old, my father did a Spartan trifecta, and I watched as he did this, and I'm watching even at 75 years old, all of his grandkids are adults, and he is able to do things with his grandkids that other 75-year-old people cannot. And it got me really thinking, what life am I living each day to set up a longevity plan that allows me that the life I am going to live and the years I do have in this universe, are they going to be quality? And you may be that high driven person that says, oh yeah, coach, it's going to be quality. I'm planning this, I'm going this, and I'm doing this. And every day, as soon as I wake up, I'm boom, boom, boom. I am on the go. As soon as my feet hit the ground, I am 100 miles an hour until I go to bed at night. And then I get up and I do it again. Okay, so how's that working for you? And maybe you're shocked because as a mindset coach, you may say, well, coach, I thought you would be proud of that. I thought you'd be excited about that. What I have found in coaching people over 10 years is there's a couple of different people. There's those individuals that just allow life to happen. They don't plan. At the end of the day, they're not sure if they even accomplished anything. They're battling with self-value because they don't have any check marks where they can sit there and go, man, I did that. I accomplished that. They just get up and let life happen. And then they go to bed. And the next morning it happens again. And year after year, their mental health is depleting. Their physical health is depleting. Their spiritual health is depleting. They can't tell you if they have been successful at really anything. Then there's the other person. There's that person I just described that hits the ground running. And we look at that person and go, man, they have to be successful. Like there's no way they're not successful. The only problem with that is that individual has a tendency to burn out. That is not a longevity plan. You see, that's that person who gets up every single day, is that high driver, that high motivator, that high just go, go, go. And by the time they get done, at the end of the day, they're exhausted. And really, what value have they brought to their life? And when I say value is, let's take a look at their relationships. Are their relationships, their marital relationships, their partner relationships, their parental relationships, their friend relationships? I recently had a conversation with someone who, well, I would say fits in this category. And one thing that really stood out to me is they made a statement. They said, my friends will always be there, but I don't get to see them a lot because I am so driving toward my goals. And when I was in the military, I had an officer once share this story. Is your career is like a train ride. You're going to get on the train and your career is going to start. It's going to pick up speed. And you know what? That train ride is going to go through some beautiful valleys. It is going to go through up some mountains and downs into valleys. It is going to go through caves and tunnels. It's going to be quite a ride. But at the end of that train ride, when the train comes back into the station and you get off the station, and those you care about are not there waiting for you, was it worth the ride? And that made such an impact on me years ago that I've repeated that story over and over, because we have this tendency to either just let life happen and we really don't feel value, or we are the driver that takes life by the horns, but we are going 100 miles an hour. And before we realize it, our kids are graduating, our kids are going to college, they're off on their own. Our spouse, we're looking at them going, I did all this so that we could be successful and I could provide for you, but I don't even know who you are because I haven't been around. I've been putting all this work into everything for us. But then when that train pulls into the station, there's no us. So how do we find that balance? How do we create a longevity plan, mind, body, soul, that will allow us to be able to have a quality of life that is balanced? That's what we're going to be taking a look at today. So taking a look, where's the situation? We always break down the grit briefing in kind of a military op order, an operations order, and we're going to be taking a look at a few different things. One of the big statements that I want to say is again, going back to that gray cycle. I like to call it the gray cycle. That person is just allowing life to, and then that high grind burnout. One is going to be drifting without a mission. Right? One has no mission, no plan, and they're just kind of drifting. The other is driving, but without sustainment. And when you take a look at longevity, you're thinking about the context of, can I keep this up? Is this sustainable? Thinking back to my military background, whenever we took a look at a mission or an operation or a plan of whatever it was that we were going to do, we had to ask ourselves, is what I'm doing sustainable? Sure, I can do anything. I can run, at a full sprint for a short distance, but I can't run a full sprint for a marathon. It's not sustainable. So that minute that a race gun goes off, I can take off at a full sprint and everyone can go, oh my God, look at that person. They got to be successful. Look how fast they are. Look how strong they are. Look what they're doing. But the truth is, it's not sustainable. Then, or I could be that person, the gun goes off and I'm eating a donut going, oh, I didn't realize this was a race. And I just kind of start jogging. But I don't even know where the race is going. I'm just happened to walk into the wrong place at the wrong time and decided I'm going to stay. So one is that gray cycle of survival. It is that moment in that time, activated but not assigned, right? You're activated, you're ready to do something, but you don't know what you're doing. You're not even sure what the mission is. You're busy, but you're not building. Ever felt that way? If you are really honest with yourself, are you spending more time each day just being busy just because you know you're supposed to do something, but you're not building anything? You get tired, but you're not fulfilled. You come to that end of the day, you crawl into bed, you go to turn off the lights, maybe you scroll through TikTok a little bit or something, and you're just like, oh my God, my mind and my body, I'm so exhausted, so tired. But then you think back at what you did, and there's no value to it. You're not even sure. You're just moving all day with no visible evidence of mission progress. And then back to that high grind burnout person, you're that person who's a constant output with no sustainment. Every objective becomes another demand. I'm going to say that again because that's pretty powerful. Every objective. So you're setting objectives, you're setting goals, but every time you're doing it, you're just adding on, adding on, adding on. And your exhaustion gets mislabeled as discipline. You're exhausted, you're tired, and people are like, man, you're disciplined. No, not really. Both are two different people, but neither are a longevity plan. Neither are actually going to go anywhere. How do we fix that? The Intel report tells us that it says US adults slept less, 30% of US adults slept less than 7 hours on average in 2024. And sleep deprivation weakens our readiness. It is that exhaustion where we get to the end of the day. Either A, we didn't really have a plan, so we're not even sure how we got here, or B, we went 100 miles an hour, balls to the wall, and at the end of the day, both are tired, both are exhausted, but you're not taking care of your body, you're not taking care of your spiritual aspects, and you can't get good sleep. Only 1 in 4 adults meet both aerobic and muscle strengthening guidelines. Physical readiness is not automatic. I shared this story, I think, in 2 grit briefings before where, I have done the Spartan race myself for years. And then during COVID, I had kind of got out of working out and really taking care of myself. I was living on past experiences, past workouts. And my kids decided to do this Spartan race with me. And I was like, yeah, I got this. But I didn't prepare for it at all. I just went on automatic. And boy, it was the most miserable time I've ever had. 1 in 10 premature deaths are linked to inactivity. So I want you to think about how many people you're going to come in contact with today. And 1 out of every 10 is most likely going to die premature because of inactivity. That's not a longevity plan. That hasn't set you up for success. And then when you think about finances, a lot of times that's the biggest excuse when I talk to people and I go to train them. One of the first things they ask is, how much is this going to cost me? Right? Like how much to bring you on as a coach? How much to bring you on as a trainer? And when I tell them, they're like, oh, I can't afford that. No, you feel like you can't afford it, but it hasn't become important to you. And let me explain this. $192 billion is annually spent in healthcare costs associated with inadequate aerobic activity. $192 billion across the US is spent in healthcare. You say you can't afford it now, but eventually you're going to have to pay the money one way or the other. Deficit living eventually turns the future into a memory of who you used to be. Maybe you're sitting here today and you're saying, you're listening to this, you're watching this, and you're saying, I used to. A lot of times I'll work with clients who, when I start working with them, and I said, why are you wanting a trainer? And one of the first things they will say is, well, I used to be really athletic. I used to weigh 50 pounds to 70 pounds less than what I do. I used to run all the time. Why did it end up being used to? It became a used to because we began to live in a deficit style of living where it began to set us up to where we didn't have the sleep, we didn't have the energy, and we didn't think about it as a longevity plan that it was combined. What we tend to do when I think about mind, body, and souls, we'll spend a lot of money on education. We'll get ourselves all pumped up on education because we want that career. Or we'll spend a lot of time where we're like, oh, I need to take care of my soul. And so we'll spend those moments. But what we fail to do is understand that that longevity plan requires all of it to come together and be balanced. So what's the enemy of our lives? What keeps us from being able to put together a longevity plan that is well balanced and successful, that allows us to not just live long, but live quality long? Meaning the life that we live, if I'm going to live to be 90 years old, is it quality? Is it worth the 90 years that I've lived? Well, some of the things that keep us from doing that is activation without direction. The body's moving, but the mission is unclear. We're not setting a specific thing in place saying, I'm going to do this. A lot of times it's because it's overwhelming. When we've allowed ourselves to go so much in deficit that we get up in the morning, we look in the mirror and we're like, oh, wow, you let yourself go. You let yourself go. Or we go to bed at night and we feel no value in what we've done. And we go, man, you know what? I don't even know if I care if I wake up tomorrow. Really, to be honest, why am I even doing this? That's the deficit. And the reason we feel that way is because we've not put ourselves forward with any activating direction. Days begin to blur together with no marker of progress. We can't sit there and say, I did this. Oh, check mark. Or we set the goal so high that it's unattainable. What I tell people all the time is this: small goals are still goals. Small successes are still success. In fitness, when I'm training people, they usually the first several training sessions that I do, we're only doing light stuff. And they're like, someone coming like, well, I was told you I wanted to get stronger, coach, but wow, this is not really. But I will find that one thing that they are not good at, or maybe they don't do well at, or they don't even like. Recently, I had someone who was terrified of box jumps, jumping up on a plyo box. They were terrified of it. And I told them, I said, listen, just trust me. And I gave them step by step how to do it. And they did it. And the joy on their face and the excitement on their faces, they were able to accomplish that. And when we got done with our training session, I looked at them and I said, you need to make sure that you give yourself credit tonight, for this. It may not seem big. It's not like you bench press 250 pounds, but you were able to accomplish something small that you weren't accomplishing yesterday. That's why here at Grit, we always say, beat yesterday's you with today's you. You have to be able to set a plan in place, no matter how big or small, and then begin to formulate actionable items to take steps forward. When we begin to do this, it creates an actionable plan that presents forward movement and allows us to feel value. We do have to be careful, however, of being that other person. I tend to be the burnout. I am that one who tends to balls to the wall 100 miles an hour. And that constant high alert and that constant go, go, go eventually depletes the body, mind, and soul. Being activated is not the same as being assigned. Just because you're in action, just because you're busy, doesn't mean you're actually accomplishing anything. These are enemies of our longevity plan. The last three of those is mission convolution. We convolute the plan. We have too many goals. right? Where I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to bench press, or I'm going to run a marathon, or I'm going to do a Spartan, or I'm going to do a high rocks, or I'm going to read this amount of books, and I'm going to do this. And on top of that, I'm also going to do this, and I'm going to be the father, and I'm going to be that mother, and I'm going to get my kids to the sporting events, and I'm going to be the best partner that I can be. And I'm going to, and all of a sudden we have way too many goals that we cannot focus on one particular one. Standards, these become open loops, and they make even success feel like failure. If you never define your mission success, you will keep calling progress failure. I'm going to say that again. If you never define mission success, you will keep calling progress failure. This is that burnout person. This is that person who every day does do a really good job, is successful at things, but because they are so high driven, they don't even recognize the progress they've made is success. Or it also could be that gray person. It could be that person who finally says, I'm going to make a mission. I'm going to make a goal. I'm going to set. But how do you know you've achieved it? What is the progress that you allow? What is that success piece that you can check off and say, I did it? I was working with a client who was holding a plank, and the first plank they held, I said, I want you to hold it for as long as you can. And I started the timer. And so they were holding it, and they got to the end to failure, and they fell down, and I told them what the time was. And then I said, you're going to hold it for 2 extra seconds moving forward. And they just looked at me, and they like, really, coach? That's not much. But they did it. Now, my initial instruction to them was, to hold it for as long as you are capable. Did they? Well, the next 3 sets, they held it 2 seconds longer. Why were they able to hold it 2 seconds longer for the next few sets versus when I just told them, hold it as long as you can? The reason is because when I asked them to hold it as long as they can, there really was no set goal. There was nothing to aim for. There was nothing to sit there and say, I did it. This is what I'm shooting for. I accomplished that. They just were holding it indefinitely. And eventually the mind told them, not their body, because clearly the evidence showed later that their body could do it. Their mind finally told them, I can't do it anymore. But the moment I took that time and then added a couple of seconds onto it and gave them a goal to go for, then they were able to push past what they thought was their limitation and achieve a higher goal. When we got done, I told them, I gave them a high five. I said, you just held that for 3 sets for 2 seconds longer. Fantastic job. And they said, but it was only 2 seconds. I said, oh no, we don't look at it that way. You not only met the expectation, you exceeded the expectation, and that is success. If you cannot give yourself those wins and define what mission success is, then any progress you do, you will continually feel as if it is failure. And you'll keep withdrawing from physical, mental, and spiritual account time that you need to refill. It's those moments that we allow ourselves a victory and we check it off and say, I did that, that begins to refill our soul, begins to refill that motor, that engine. It says, I can do more. But if we do not set a goal, if we do not define mission success, then we begin to live in a deficit living because we never feel like we have ever succeeded at anything. And so why keep trying? If I'm going to keep trying, but I never know if I'm actually going to accomplish the mission or not, eventually I'm going to get worn out. Eventually my mind is going to tell my body we're done, and the soul's just going to sit there and go, okay, guys, because there's no reward. But if we set small goals and are able to achieve them in our action plan of life, and when we achieve them, we celebrate it, no matter how small it may be. Then when the time comes that life is going to ask more of us, and we hit that point where we feel we cannot go any further, our mind is going to tell us, man, we only need 2 more seconds and we're going to beat this. And the body goes, really? That's it? And the soul goes, hey, we got this, guys. Let's do 2 more seconds. If success is vague or perfection-based, progress never counts, and we will continue to feel as if we have failed. So what's the mission plan for a longevity game plan? How do we build it? It is when an individual will build a personal longevity plan that balances, because that is the key, so that we don't burn out, but we do have a plan that balances physical readiness, mental discipline, spiritual grounding, and sustainable standards, recovery, and purpose-driven action. We're going to do this by assessing our deficit modes. Where are we deficit at? What do we need to be better at? Where do we need to refill? We're going to define a longevity mission. What is it? Okay, coach, you've been talking about this now for a little bit of, I need to have a longevity mission plan. I need to have a longevity mission. Well, what is that? We're going to learn how to define it. And then build it in the 3 domains, mind, body, and soul. We're going to install a recovery time because that is just as vital. Again, I recently was working with an athlete because I'm a strength and conditioning coach as well. And this athlete had a competition that was coming up, and I said, hey, we've been working out quite a bit. How much stretching have you done? And they looked at me and they said, none. And I said, that's the wrong answer. Your body needs to be able to have a time to recover. Working with boxers when it comes to strength and conditioning, and they're getting ready for a fight, there comes a time period where you have to block out the training so that as you are leading up the week or so before the fight, you are not going to start. That's not the time to start building muscle, tearing muscle and building it up. That's the time to just keep a sustained standard to get them ready for executing. The mission is not grind until you collapse. The mission is to build a life that you can keep showing up for. One, the key word is not just longevity, it's sustainability. And how often do we feel that we are able to sustain? So let's take a look. How do you conduct a deficit assessment? How do we find out where we need to build up? Well, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you a couple of areas, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. I want you to rate each of these 1 to 5. 1, you're depleted. I want you to be honest with yourself. But that 1 says, I am depleted. Coach, I know I am. 3, functional. I'm kind of functional. 5 is that sustainability. I'm actually sustaining in this area. So sleep. Where would you rate yourself in sleep? Are you sleep deprived? Are you sleep functional? Or are you giving your time an opportunity? Write this down. Or are you sustainable? You're getting enough time. Strength. Depleted, functional, or sustained? Are you spending at least 2 days a week doing strength training in some form or fashion? Mobility. This is that stretching. It is that moving. I found this out in my own life. I always tell people the worst person probably out there in fitness is a trainer, because we do this for a living. Then by the time we go to do our own workout, we're usually depleted. And I would talk to people about mobility and the importance of it. Mobility is simply, can you move within your space of life without aches or pains? And I have my clients, I tell them all the time when I see like them grimace or they're really just bearing down. I go, okay, hold on. Is it painful or sore? Because there's a difference. Pain, we don't want. Soreness, okay. And then when I talk to them about mobility, and they say, well, what should I be thinking about when it comes to mobility? Here's what I want you to think about. What do you do on a daily basis every day? What is the typical movements that is required? And each person, this is a little different. It depends on what your activity is for the day. It depends on what your life activity is, right? If you're sitting in an office chair for a large portion of the day at a computer, there are elements of your body that you are not going to be mobile very well in. I usually can talk to a client without even asking them what they do. And I have certain questions that I can ask a client, and they usually tell me almost right off the bat. By telling me those answers, I can tell you what type of job they're doing. And what we need to do and focus is one, we need to keep the movements of what we do every day well oiled. But we also need to think about the areas of our body that we do not move on a regular basis. Are we losing mobility? Because are we becoming rigid in those areas? For someone who sits down a lot at a computer and they're leaning forward, their shoulders are forward, eventually they're going to start having back problems because they don't move their back a lot. And so that would be an area of mobility. 1, depleted, 3, functional, 5, it's sustainable. Your energy levels, your nutrition levels. Where would you rate these? Mental, your brain, your mindset. Again, 1 is depleted, 3 is functional, 5 is sustained. How would you rate these? This is that deficit assessment. Focus. I will tell you, the older I get and the more busier I get, and that's where this that's where this lesson came from, was me really doing my own work and realizing that I am going 90 miles an hour. And when you're that high driver, many times you're not a focused person because you have a tendency to I'm going to get a drink. I got to fix the mic. Oh, the light needs to be fixed. Oh, wow, that needs to be cleaned up. Oh, back to this. Well, to have a longevity, sustainable plan for life, we need to learn how to be able to focus. It is that going out with your partner out to dinner. You take your phone and you put it away. Because the focus in that moment is that time spent with your partner. It's not the phone, that can wait. It's not the news, that can wait. It's not investments, those can wait. It is in this moment, the main focus of my life is my partner. And it is catching yourself and learning to be able to catch yourself when you begin to focus. Is your focus depleted, functional, or sustainable? Stress. Oh boy, here it goes. Stress. How many of y'all are too stressed? How many of y'all would say, well, definitely number 1, depleted, stressed? I 100% cannot. I am so stressed, coach. Okay. Well, then in that moment, what that means is you have got to take time out to learn how to stress manage. How do you manage your stress? Boundaries. This is a really important mental part. Boundaries. Are you someone that knows how to set up boundaries and stay true to those boundaries when you are in the career field, when you're in relationships, whether it's time boundaries, success boundaries, even boundaries with yourself? How are you? Man, my boundaries are depleted, coach. My boundaries, they're functional. They're there some of the time. Or no, I'm pretty good. I've learned that. I used to not be good at that, but I've learned that. I think boundaries is something that we all can work on. Self-talk, emotional control. Are you someone that flies off the handle very quickly when stress begins to take over? Clarity. So again, these are things for that mental part that says focus, stress, boundaries, self-talk, emotional control, and clarity. That's that deficit assessment. Spiritual. And when I say spiritual, for those who've been around grit for a while, you understand I'm not talking religion. I'm talking about the soul, right? Do you have purpose, or does your purpose feel depleted? Or it's functional? Or yeah, you are sustained. Reflection. Maybe it is faith or values. I have a series of values and core principles that I live my life based upon. I make decisions based upon them. I have taught my kids that if you are going to start going through life, as you go through life, you define your core principles of life, your values, and every decision you make, you plug it in. If it doesn't plug in like a puzzle piece and fit to those values, you already know the answer. You're not in the right place. Gratitude, service. How much are you giving to people? Maybe you're giving too much. And then meaning. You cannot build a longevity in a domain you refuse to assess. So this is vital. In order for us to be able to move forward with a longevity plan, we have to know where we are. What's the current situation? Where are we? And when you start taking a look, I don't expect you, okay, this is for the drivers. For all those who are high driving, you already now have your thing like, oh, I need to fix that. No, just pick one. Find one that you think is really obtainable, really easy to obtain, and get it moved into the 5. Cross it off and keep it there. Then start working on all the others. Now, I don't expect you to work on all of them. How do we do this? You can ask better questions. So, how are you going to define? We talked about assessing and then defining the mission. How do we define the mission? I want you to take a notebook or an index card or something and say, write this mission statement formula down. I'm building longevity so I can remain blank, blank, and blank for the mission of blank. I'm building longevity so I can remain blank, blank, and blank for the mission of blank. Longevity without a purpose is just more time. But purpose turns that time into a mission. So how do we answer that question? How do we fill in those blanks? You ask questions. Longer for what? Okay, so you're going to build a longevity plan, but maybe what is it that makes you want to live a quality, longer life? A life that is longer worth living. What is that? It's that, remember, you've always heard it when it comes to success talks and life coaches, they define your why. I don't like that, right? I understand the importance of it, but it's become so cliche that I never say it unless it's in this context. But you do need to know what longer for what. Maybe it's longer because there's places you want to go that you've never been before. Maybe there's some food you've not eaten that you want to eat. Maybe there's places you want to visit, things you want to see, experiences you want to experience that you've never experienced before. But if you don't take care of yourself, those things will not happen. Why do I want to get stronger? Stronger for whom? Yourself? Could be. Stronger because I have 6 kids, all adults, and I want to be able to live an active life with them. And then when they decide, this last weekend over Father's Day, I had about half of my kids with us, and they were all talking about we have one grandkid. Only one of them has a grandkid, but she was not with us. Those who are here with us, none of them have kids yet. They all have significant others. And the whole discussion centered around who's going to be the next person to give us grandkids. Not that I'm rushing towards that, but eventually I might have more grandkids. And I want to be able to be stronger to be able to live a longer, more quality-filled life with them. I want them to know who I am. Who needs me present, strong, and grounded? And what do I want to still be capable of 20 years from now? 20 years from now, I'm going to be 71 years old. I already used the illustration earlier about my father. At 70 years old, he did a Spartan trifecta. I want to be able to do the same thing when I am 70. I want to live in the legacy shoes that my father has instilled, as well as build a longevity legacy plan for my kids. as they grow up so that they can look forward and say, man, look at what dad's doing. Look at the life that dad has lived. I want to live that life, and dad has shown me how to live that life. You have the opportunity to be a generational impact by creating a longevity plan with that assessment and that mission statement formula. Why do you need a mission statement formula? Because again, if you do not set out a mission statement and plan forward, all you're doing is creating time, but the statement and the mission creates value with that time. Build the body, guard the mind, ground the soul, because this is the long game. So we've assessed, we've established the mission. Now we need to execute in the 3 domains: mind, body, and soul. How do we do that? Well, strength-wise, body-wise, study shows that we should be doing strength training at least 2 to 4 times a week. That's what is important to keep our body going. Again, this does not require, and I'm going to say this, I'm a certified master trainer. I am a personal trainer. I work with people every single day. I've already been to a gym this morning. I have got a class I'm teaching tonight. I have a client tomorrow. I've got stuff, every single day. But I tell my clients this all the time. It is not about how much weight you can lift, but how much life you're going to live. I'm not asking you to go do personal records and max reps. What I am saying is 2 to 4 times a week, do some form of strength training. This does not require a gym. And as a trainer, I will tell you, it doesn't even require a trainer. Trainers help. We help you be able to formulate plans. We keep you accountable. We can teach you the proper form so that you don't get injured for that longevity plan. But strength training 2 to 4 times a week. Walk 20 to 30 minutes most days. I say most days because, again, I'm not trying to overload you. This is nothing new. If you've been around at all, you've probably heard a lot of this. I'm not trying to overload you and say and beat you down and say, well, you're not doing this and you're not doing that. And now you're sitting here with this whole buffet plate overflowing with food of stuff that you have to accomplish. And you're going, there's no way. Pick one thing, become good at it, and pick another thing. You need to make sure that your nutrition is where it is. Hydrate, eat the right things. I'm a nutrition coach. And so I work with people all the time. I usually don't tell them right off the bat I'm a nutrition coach, but usually it gets somewhere into about 2 to 3 sessions with a client. They look at me and they go, okay, coach, we're really doing well, but man, my eating's not good. Do you have the ability to help me with that? I absolutely do. But it's going to take that person implementing the things that I am suggesting. How's your eating? How's your hydration? I'm horrible at drinking water. I hate drinking water. This is homemade herbal tea from my wife's garden. It is absolutely delicious, but I have to make myself drink water. I've gotten a lot better at it. In the military, we were forced hydrated, right? You drill, especially in basic training, the drill sergeant would say, drink water, and everyone had to empty their canteen. But now I don't drink water. Well, I used to not. I've gotten a lot better at it because I realized the importance. If I am going to live a longevity plan, my nutrition is part of it. And then sleep and recovery. So that's your body. That's that physical piece, that mind, body, and soul. That's that physical mission metrics. You're going to plug that into your assessment. So take the ones that you're depleted on, take some of these physical readiness and say, okay, how does this fit into what I'm trying to do and where I'm depleted so that I can make it sustainable? Mental readiness, that mindset. You can use that mission card we just talked about. Midday reset. Set an alarm on your watch halfway through the day that goes off and reminds you to stop for a second and recognize the successes you have accomplished. What have you done that has been absolutely fantastic? What have you accomplished today? In that moment, you just rest for a second and you reset and you take a look and you say, I accomplished A, B, and C. Good job. It's okay to give yourself a pat on the back. Do it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Reward yourself. If you reward yourself, don't do it with candy. Do it with something nutritional, but reward yourself. Boundaries. Boundaries are so important for our mental readiness because we allow people to leech off of our energy. We allow people who should not be in our lives be part of our lives. You know those people. You know who I'm talking about. You have those individuals who, when you see them coming, you just feel this ick. You feel this presence. You feel this darkness. They don't respect you. They don't accept you. They tear you down. It's all about them and nothing about you. There needs to be boundaries that you set up that maybe you have to deal with them. Maybe it's a boss. Maybe it's your personal trainer. And you're going, okay, I have to deal with you, but I'm only going to spend this much time. And then when I leave, I'm going to do, in essence, a mental cleansing. I am going to take a moment to breathe, to reset, and then a weekly after actions report. This part of it is a lot very similar to what we talked about last week in the grit briefing when we talked about phase lines. And if you did not get that, if you did not see that briefing, you can always go to our YouTube channel, check it out. It's uploaded there, or our Facebook group. And then your spiritual grounding. Take time to reflect. For some spiritual beliefs, that is prayer, but take time just to be quiet. We don't like quiet because in that moment of quiet, if we haven't learned how to control it, we lose focus. All the things we didn't accomplish, our self-doubt starts playing in, our self-deprecation where we start, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. No, push it out. That's that boundaries. See, it all goes hand in hand. It's that boundaries, push it out, and just sit in the moment and breathe. Take in those breaths. Take in the surroundings. Center yourself. Be grateful. Gratitude goes so long because we tear ourselves up so many times by the things we didn't accomplish or how we let ourselves go or how we didn't eat nutritionally or how we didn't do the strength training or how I misplaced my mission card. Instead, it should be this: taking a moment out to be grateful for what you do have, the people that do bring value. Let's not spend time gossiping and worrying and stressing about those who don't bring value. Create the boundary and then spend that time. This weekend was an amazing weekend for me. I sent a text message out to all my family who participated. It said, hey, thank you for an amazing weekend, because it was so needed and so refreshing. It was a reset. And we had boundaries. We kept it small and kept it family. And we spent quality time together. And I'm grateful for that. And say it out loud. When we begin to, because we so many times are saying all that negative stuff out loud, that when we spend that time in reflection and gratitude, we forget to say that out loud. And that plays an important part in how we recover our spiritual aspects of our life. And then realign your values. Again, if you don't have a series of values you live your life by, then that is a really good place to start with a longevity plan. Is what do I value and how does it fit into a list so that I can plug things in and go, this meets my value. What gets measured gets recognized. What gets recognized gets repeated. I'm going to say that again. What gets measured gets recognized. Meaning I notice it, I measure it, I recognize it. And then what gets recognized, we get to repeat. Give me a second, everybody. TikTok says I need to verify that I'm still on and alive. Well, there we go. Like twice it said I did not do it correctly. So how do we do all of that? That's a lot. There's a couple of different things. There's 3 different levels I want to talk about. And we really want to focus on that middle level. 1, you have that minimal effective dose. This is not bad. Sometimes we talk about that maximum. Give it everything you got. You got that coach or that drill sergeant in the back of our head. Give it everything you've got. Well, we already talked about that. That it's not sustainable. There are days that we have to just give minimal. And guess what? That is okay. Just giving the minimal on some days is okay because that's still that progress. Even a 10-minute walk. I know I said 20 to 30 minutes, but even if you just got a 10-minute walk in, at least you got a walk in. One healthy meal. You're like, Coach, I can't do all that good stuff. I'm a big person. I love to eat. I love that all you can eat. I love that soul food. I grew up in the South. I get it. But okay, just do one healthy meal, one glass of water, one recovery choice. Even though it's minimal, it's still progressing you forward. And some days, that's all we have. We really want to try to stick in that level too, that standard day where we're getting those workouts in. We've eaten those nutrition meals. We're focus work blocked. And what I mean by that is we have set up times that are blocked out for specific things. My family knows I do the grit briefing. And I don't know if you all could hear the dogs in the background, but a lot of times I have to block out times where I sit there and say, okay, family, this is when I'm doing the grit briefing so that the family can be quiet and nothing gets picked up in the office by the mics. Now, with that being said, if I take that block and I have to move it for some reason, because usually we started off doing the grit briefing at 7:00 Monday mornings when most of the house is quiet here. But today we did it later. When I move that block, I'm still focused on what I'm doing, but I can't expect everybody else to be, right? Because I have to give grace because they're not responsible for me moving the block. I'm responsible. Being family present, that's the follow-up on that. I know that they have things they have also got to do, and I have to be present in that moment. And then that reflection time, that's where we really want to stay. But then we have those minimum days, we have those standards, and then we have that high output day. That's not a bad thing. It's surge capacity. It's getting everything in. Man, I feel really energized. I'm going to give it a really hard work. Got a major deadline coming up. I am putting all kinds of stuff in there. That's not bad. But where it begins to not be sustainable is when we live in that max effort day every single day. If we do that, we will burn out. So, what is sustainability? Recovery is not stepping away from the mission. Recovery returns you to operational. Sustainability is just creating that ability to be able to have a successful day, not a perfect day. Sometimes success is the day you recovered instead of quitting. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes success is the day you recovered instead of quitting. Today is a mission effective day if I move my body or protect recovery. Complete one meaningful action. Make one mental or emotional reset. Make one spiritual or value-based deposit. And capture one win or lesson. So, we're going to end with this. I'm going to give you a plan for the day. There is more to this, but what I want you to do, they're on the slides. I'll upload those on the Facebook group. But here's your 72-hour operational longevity challenge for sustainment. Write one longevity mission statement. We told you how to do that today. Complete 3 domain deficit assessment. That's that mind, body, and soul. I walked you through that. Go back, redo it, make sure you do it. Execute one physical readiness action daily. One mental readiness, one spiritual readiness action daily. And then set up in that time each day one recovery checkpoint. One of those moments where you stop and you say, okay, what have I accomplished? What have I done? Is it sustainable? Am I in that minimum maximum, steady maximum, or high output? Where am I? I'm measuring it. Why? Because if it's measurable, it's recognizable. If it's recognizable, it's repeatable. And then record one mission effective win nightly. When you go to bed at night, I want you to have a journal or something there and just say, man, today I accomplished this toward my longevity plan. I hope this was informative for you. I hope this challenged you. Your response is your responsibility today. I can give you the tools, I can give you the lesson plan. What you do with it is up to you. So go be the best version of you can be. But what that means is literally beating yesterday's you with today's you. Minimal, sustainable, and you can throw in some of those high outputs.
Live life, live long. Longevity set strong. No rush, no noise. Just a plan for the days ahead. I see all the influences with every swipe telling me how I need to live my life. Each one trying to convince me that I am missing out, creating in my mind a lot of self-doubt. So I go harder, or do I even have what it takes? Thinking back about all my life mistakes. I have to push, I have to grind, rush, so I don't get left behind. My body is fatigued, my mind is crowded, spiritual aspects, not sure if I'm even about that. The messages all mixed up inside my chest. I am not even sure how to give my best, let alone have time to rest. Stop, wait, pause, this is bigger than right now. It ain't about tearing it up or burning down the town. It's about living present and living long, with a mission plan that'll keep me strong. Mind, body, soul, all in line. I'm building my future one day at a time.